Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of One Man Stream. In our last tutorial, when I closed it out, I said that was probably going to be our last tutorial in this series for 2023, but I found myself with a little extra time during the holidays, and I've managed to put together one more. And this is going to be a fun tutorial. This one is entitled Adding Animated Text to Your Graphics. And this came about from a email that I received, and it was from Foc Win, and he said, "Hello, I really like and learn a lot from your instructional videos on your channel. Can you tell me and everyone how to create a GT, vMix, and UTC controller like this?" And he went ahead and he showed me a graphic, and the graphic is what we're going to concentrate on today. And just to get things started off, I'll show you exactly what I'm referring to. This is the graphic that we're going to be working with today, and I have a couple different techniques we're going to use and a couple different ways we're going to go about it. But I'll just go ahead and show you the 4 different examples that I put together for today's tutorial. We have this one right here. And then we have a second version that looks like this, and you'll notice after a period of time the score changes as well. And then we have this. And it looks similar, but it's a totally different technique. And then over on the visitor side, we're just going to say a goal was scored instead of a touchdown, and we have this. And then the last one is another technique. And I'm an Apple person. I have Apple Motion, and I do all my video editing in Final Cut Pro, so I actually just threw these together very quickly in Apple Motion. But this is the last one. And that's going to be our focus today on One Man Stream. I'm going to show you how we go about putting these together. If you have a chance, please stop by onemanstream.com. That's where we have all the graphics that we've created during this tutorial series, along with many of the vMixUTC controllers. They're all just a few dollars a piece, and it is a way that you can help support One Man Stream. And I want to thank all of you that have already made purchases from my graphics store. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to start out in GT Title Designer. And this is a very simple graphic that we put together, and it's basically just a few rectangles, and then we have a couple images. We have an image for the home team, an image for the visiting team, and then we have our One Man Stream logo right here in the middle. And we have the name of the team, home and visitors, and then we also have the score for the visiting team and the home team. But this is something that I probably threw together in less than 5 minutes. I'll show you how we do it. We go up here to the rectangle, we click on it, we pull us out a rectangle, and then on this one right here on the visiting side, I went to fill color, I made it blue, and then what I did is I came and I added this image right here, and so I'm just going to click on image. It's going to take me to our images. This is the one that I selected right here. I'm going to click OK. It brings it in very large, so we shrink it down to something that we can use. And that's about the same size right there. So we're going to bring it up here, and you can see that it's not straight up and down on its axis. A little bit of rotation to it. So I'm going to click on the control key, and I'm going to click on these arrows that converge, and I'm going to rotate it a little bit like this. Well, I don't really want it to overlap this block right here. I want it to be contained inside that block. So let's see, the name of this block was Rectangle 1. So I'm going to click on the image, I'm going to go to Effects, I'm going to click on Mask, and then I'm going to click on Rectangle 1. And as you'll see, only the part where it's overlapped by the rectangle is going to be shown, and that's kind of the effect that I want. Once you do that, you can still maneuver it. I'm going to bring it down a little bit so you can see this part of it, and I kind of like that right there. So the next thing that I did was I created the name here, and I did that with the ABC button, the text block. I'm going to go ahead and pull that over here, and then we'll center it in the middle up and down, left to right, and in the middle up and down. And then I'm going to go ahead and click on this right here, and I'm going to shrink the text So no matter how long or how lengthy this description is inside this text box, it's going to stay inside the text box. So I'm going to click on this, and then we're just going to click in the visiting team name. There we go. Okay, and then we're going to change the fill color of the text to white. And then that's how we did those two components right here. For the score, we did the same thing. We came over here to the ABC box. We clicked on that. We're going to drag us out of score box. And then once again, we're going to center it left to right, up and down. We're going to change the fill color to white. We're going to double click in here, and we're going to click on the number 9. Now, let's see what font we chose for this. We chose Franklin Gothic, so let's go ahead and click on this as well. And I kind of like that font, so we're going to go down here to Franklin Gothic. Click on that, and then we're going to make it bold. Let's make it extra bold. And then we're going to increase the size by quite a bit. And for demonstration purposes, we're going to leave it right there. We did the exact same thing for the other side, so I'm not going to go through that again, but again, we drug out a rectangle. We changed the fill color of that rectangle to red, and then we brought in these 3 elements. The mascot, and we did the same thing. We put a little rotation on it, and then masked it to the name of this rectangle right here. And then we brought in another text box by clicking on the ABC button. We brought in this text box right here for the home team, and then we brought in the home team score by once again clicking on the text box. This middle part is just a smaller rectangle, and then we brought in the one-man stream logo by clicking on the image button. We brought it in, and then we shrunk it down to fit in this area right here. So that's how we built the graphic. Now, with the first technique that I'm going to show, I'm going to click right here, and you can see where a white block comes out, and then the touchdown scrolls from right to left, and then it stays in for a couple seconds, then it goes away, and then you can see that the score changed. Well, I'll show you how we did this. Let's go over here and look behind this button right here. So let's click on the cog, and what we did is we just named this Home Touchdown version 1 because we do have a couple different versions of the touchdown. We came down here to the drop down box and changed the color to red. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 pieces of scripting. So we clicked on this button, this plus script button 5 times. And the first script box that came in is number 0, then number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. So let's look and see what happens. The first thing that we're doing is we're overlaying input X in. And the input that we're using is the graphic that I just showed you that we created in GT Title Designer. And then we're doing that on overlay 2. Then we're bringing overlay input X in with a little movie that I created in motion, and we're bringing that in on overlay 3. So let's go ahead and look at this, just look at this movie. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to play it out on channel 4. And you can see that it's the effect that you see when we initiate that graphic. All I did was over in motion, I brought in a white background, and then I brought in I created a text box, centered that text box in the middle, and then what I did is I just had some animated graphic coming in from right to left, and literally you can do this in 30 seconds in Apple Motion. Then what I did is I exported this into vMix. It was this whole area was white, and then it had touchdown here in the middle. So what I did is I just messed with it until I got it to where I wanted it, so it's going to overlap that one portion of the graphic. So what I did is I took the zoom way down, I made it quite a bit smaller, I positioned it over here to the right, and then to fine adjust it so that it perfectly overlaps that graphic that we created, I did some cropping. And you can see here where I've adjusted the X and Y on these 4 parameters, and I have it to where it goes exactly over top of the other graphic. And we'll do it just one more time. And you'll see it goes away. And then at the very end, you can see where the score changes. Well, we've done this before in some other tutorials, but I'll show you how that is done. It's something that's very easy to do. Let's click the cog here with visiting score. You can see this checkbox right here next to +6. I added a link that says add 6 home. So when we execute the link add 6 home, it's going to add 6 points to the home score. So when we click on it, brings in the graphic, brings in the touchdown, it goes away, and then it brings in the home score. So let's look and see exactly what's going on behind this button here. Okay, the first thing that happens is as we've already seen, we're going to bring the main graphic in on overlay channel 2, and then we're going to bring in that crop graphic that I just explained on overlay channel 3. We're then going to use the command, the timer function command. We're going to leave that in for 3 seconds because that's about the length of that touchdown graphic. Then we're going to execute the link that says add 6 to home, and we showed you where that came from. And then we're going to overlay input X off on overlay channel 3. And as you remember, overlay channel 3 was that 3-second touchdown that we brought in. So that's how we did this first version right here. Now the second version looks like this. And it's a little bit different, and it's kind of tricky, but all I'm really doing is I made another version of the graphic, and I'll show you that version. So we're going to go back over here under GT Title Designer. Now you can see that this is identical to the graphic that we created at the outset of this tutorial, but there's actually 2 more additional pieces that I've added to this graphic, and I've given it a separate name. And it's these first 2 pieces of information right here that you see that I have hidden right now. So we're going to go ahead and click on this one right here, and that's home background 1, and that's going to bring in this white background here. And all I did was create another rectangle. I went over here first to see what the dimensions were of this visiting background. So I go under here under format, and I know that my height's 134. So what I did is I made me a rectangle with the height of 134, and then I just shrunk it down so that the score portion of the graphic is exposed. So the next thing is this image 3, and this image 3 is this touchdown right here. The technique is just a little bit different because on this text right here that says touchdown, this is actually a image sequence. And what I did is I took that video that I had earlier and I brought it over here, and I'll show you how that works. So what I'm doing is I'm going to come down here to the hamburger menu and click on that, and then I'm going to go to vMix Video Tools, and that brings this in right here. I created a folder because when you make these image sequences, if you made something that's 60 frames a second, then you're going to get 60 PNGs for a 1-second clip, and this is actually a 3-second clip, so I would have about 180 different images. I just browse to where that file is, and then you just select that whatever you want to turn into an image sequence, and then you click browse again, and that's when I chose this file right here that says touchdown image sequence. I would just click on that and click save. Then after you do that, all you do is click convert, and it breaks that movie up into all these different PNG files for you, and it makes an image sequence. What I did is I clicked on image, and I'll show you how I did this. And I went to the very first frame of that image sequence, which is this one right here. I clicked on it, I clicked open, and it brought it in here. And on the very first image, there's no text. It's not until it gets further along in those image sequences that the text comes in. But that's how I brought it in initially. I need to go to animations, and I'm going to click on this, and I've got 2 levels going on. I've got a on the first level, I have a fade, and that fade takes effect over 1 second. And then on the second level, I have an image sequence, and that image sequence needs to be the length of whatever the movie was originally. And that one was 3 seconds, so I made that duration 3 seconds. So let's look and see what happens when we start the animation. Now, there was one more thing I did on this right here. I did a reveal, and it was a 1 second reveal. So that's why you see the white coming here going left to right first, and then you see the text fade in, and then you see it play out. So let's do it one more time. All right, so we're going to click the second version one more time, which is right here. Let's go ahead and click on that. Okay, now let's go and look behind the button here and see what all we have going on. How many pieces of script do we have? We have 4 pieces of script, and what we're doing is overlay input X in on overlay channel 4, and that's bringing in that second graphic that we just made in GT Title Designer with those 2 new components. Then we run the timer function for about 5 seconds. Then we execute the link that says add 6 to home, and that's how the score changes for the home team. And then the last thing that we do is overlay input X, and X being overlay channel 4 off. So what we do is we have the graphic on in the background, and we bring that other graphic directly over top of it with that new animation, and that's what gives it the final effect. So we'll look at it one more time. So now let's go on over to the visiting goal side. Let's look at this one right here. And this is the same thing that we did with the first touchdown graphic. I went over in Motion, Apple Motion, and I created a 3D text that says goal, and then I exported that. Then I brought that in as an MOV file. Then I cropped it down, positioned it exactly where I wanted it, and let's look at what the commands are. So we have 4 pieces of script again. The first one is overlay input X in on the goal animation, and that's on overlay channel 4. We're going to leave that in for 4 seconds. Then we're going to take that out after the 4 seconds. We're going to take that complete overlay channel out, and it's going to remove that MOV file that we just made. And then the next thing that's going to happen is we're going to execute the link, and it's going to add 1 to the visiting score. Well, I showed you where the home score came from. Now let's look and see where the visiting score came from. It's right here. Under visiting score, I checked the +1 box, and I added the link that says add 1 VIS. So anytime we run this link right here, it's going to add 1 to the visiting score. All right, so let's just click on it one more time. You can see where the logo and the name goes out, the background turns black, and then the animated goal comes in, and then you can see the score changes by a digit of 1. Now the last one is this one right here, and this one's the one that I'm kind of most proud of because it was a new technique for me. And so what I did is I went back and I exported that MOV file again, but this time I did it a little bit differently. This time I exported the color plus the alpha, and then that allows me to have a transparent background. So it's the same thing, it's the same MOV file, it's just this time it's with a transparent background. So what I'm doing is I'm taking away the logo here, and then I'm taking away the name of the visiting team. Now I'm bringing in that 3D text with a transparent background, and it just gives an entirely different look. So let's click that one more time. And let's look at this one. Now this has a little bit more going on because we're taking different components, we're turning them off and on. So these first two say set X visible off, and it's on the demo animated touchdown. And for index 1 as a text, let's look and see what that is. Index 1 as a text is the visiting team name. So it's going to turn the visiting team name off. And then under image 1 or source 1, those are synonymous, it's going to turn the visiting logo off. Then what it's going to do is it's going to bring in that MOV file, the one that I entitled Color Plus Alpha, and that's what gives us that transparent background. We're going to bring that in. We're going to overlay input X in on channel 4, and then it took some manipulating and some cropping to get it exactly where I wanted it right here, but you've seen me do that before. It's very straightforward. We know that that file is 3 seconds, so then we let it play out over 3 seconds using the timer command. We take that and the entire overlay 4 channel out after that movie is played out, and then we set visible back on those 2 components, on the visiting text name, or visiting team name text, and the visiting logo for the visiting team. We bring those back on, and then the last thing we do is we add 1 point to the visitors. So let's take a look and see how that looks. That will conclude our tutorial for today, where we talked about adding animated text to your graphics. As you can see, it's actually pretty easy and pretty straightforward. If you don't have access to your own copy of Motion or to any other software that will do that for you, you can go online and you can purchase different animated text. That's actually what prompted me to do it myself. I learned a little bit of Apple Motion, and believe me, I'm very much a novice where it's concerned to Apple Motion. So if I was able to put these together in a very short period of time, you would be able to do so as well. If you get an opportunity, please stop by our website, onemanstream.com. That's where we have all the previous tutorials along with the graphics that we've created during this series and many of the vMixUTC controllers as well. Again, if you like what we're doing here at One Man Stream, please give us a thumbs up and a like. Make sure that you do subscribe so that you'll be alerted as soon as new tutorials are posted. And as always, thank you very much.